Classic and the Boston Pro. This is a topic that's come up many times over recent years, really ever since we started live streaming, which has only been, it's a fairly recent phenomenon. We've only really had the technology to do, really quality live streams for a few years now. You probably heard the expression, Bob Ciccarelli used to say, you had to be there when people made commentary or disagreed with judging decisions, and they weren't at the contest. They were going by pictures or videos. Streams do vary in quality even now. Sometimes we have very, very crystal clear, perfect images. This past Arnold Classic, I have to give them a lot of credit. That may have been the best live stream quality I've ever seen. It was definitely amazing. Others I've seen, I remember one in 2020, I will not name the show. It was so bad. I was at home trying to do commentary for the Muscular Development website, musculardevelopment.com, and the quality was so bad it looked like an old flip phone video from, video phone quality from 15 years ago. I couldn't even tell if people were in shape or not. Honestly, I couldn't tell. It was that bad. But even so, being there in person, you do see things, especially if you're up front. Now, if you're in the back, it doesn't matter. If you're in the back, you're just watching the big screens anyway. You're basically watching the live stream in person that you know. But if you're up front, especially if you're with the right in back of the judges, as I usually am, I appreciate that, those seats from the promoters and from the NPC/IFBB Pro League, you do see things. You see a lot of detail that a lot of times the cameras just don't seem to pick up. And I can't put my finger on it, but I know a lot of you guys watching this have been to shows in person and you've watched them online. And the whole reason this is a topic now that I thought of was because the vast majority of coverage of bodybuilding contests now is not from guys like me who actually fly out to the cities, sit there in the audience behind the judges and see things with their own eyes. The vast majority of bodybuilding contest coverage is done by, guys with YouTube channels. They could be anywhere in the world and they're just watching the live stream like all the fans. And that's what they're basing their comparisons on. Maybe they go and look at the high-res images that the contest photographers, MD, we always have a contest gallery. We usually have a photographer there with a great camera and so forth. But it is different. It is different when you're there live in person with your own eyes. I can't explain it because I think the human eye, probably some of this 4K video technology, I would imagine the resolution is caught up with how good human eyesight is. But there's something different about being there. You do see little nuances. I'm curious, you guys got anything to say about it yet? Let's see. If not, I'll just keep rambling. But I do these live things to get you guys into it. Oh, okay. You guys have nothing to say yet? People there said Bonac should have won. Milos and Jose said that as well. Yeah, I said that too. If I was a judge, I would have given it to Bonac. I thought it was a coin toss. I thought they were very close only because they both had things that the other didn't. One guy's strength was the other's weakness and vice versa. So Bonac had more muscle size. He was a little bigger than Brandon. Brandon was not quite as big as he usually is. And Bonac was leaner. So a lot of people would say, well, the bigger, leaner guy, the biggest, leanest guy on stage should win. That's not true at all because you're not in that description. You're not factoring in bone structure, shape, none of that. I mean, geez, if it was just the biggest guy on stage, Morgan Ash from France, he'd be winning every show. The guy's like 315 pounds on stage and he gets shredded. So there's a lot more that factors into it. Yet that's another thing. It's just not only you have to be there, but a lot of people that comment on these things, they've never been to a show and they don't really understand how the judges make their decisions. Like I said, some people would say, well, this guy was the biggest and the leanest on stage. He should win. Other people who might be favor of aesthetics and shape might say, well, this guy had a beautiful shape and symmetry. He should have won, even though maybe he wasn't as big and lean as the other guys. Let's see, we see it in person as 3D. You can see depth. Thank you, Davila Wassermaster. Finally, someone who was able to articulate what I am unable to express. Yeah, you're seeing depth. You're seeing the physiques from all angles. These really high quality live streams like the Arnold where it wasn't just one camera. They had, I think I saw 4 different cameras going. So there was one that was like straight on shooting the stage. There was one that was a boom camera. So that's like on a big crane. And that was actually kind of annoying for the audience because for that boom camera to get the right shots that they wanted to get a lot of times, it was blocking the view of the competitors. And I had some people behind me that were, had paid, I don't know how much money for their VIP tickets. They were upset about all the photographers in my row with their big cameras, but they were really upset about the boom camera. Let's see what else we got. Other people said I bought an extra one. I'm refreshing again. I get that spinning circle a lot. Now, what else we get? Bra, it's about density. Oh, bra, you weren't calling me bra. That's what your YouTube handle. Bra says it's about density. If they cared about shape, Samson should have been top 2. Yeah, I don't understand it. Brandon didn't have enough size and he wasn't sharp. He had enough size and he was sharp enough, and in conjunction with his beautiful shape and structure and symmetry, that was enough to eke out a win. It was a very close. I went over the scores yesterday. He ended up winning by, I think it was like a 7-point margin, but on the second night, he was only 1 point ahead of Bonac. So the judges were much closer to picking Bonac the second night than they were the first night. It was the first time this has been a 2-day show. Marvin, hi Ron, read the title. 100% agree. I don't comment on placings. The photo only shows so much. That along with the athlete may still be transitioning between poses. Yeah, I want to know if any of you guys are like me and you've actually been to pro shows with good seats and you've watched pro shows on a pay-per-view like all these guys with YouTube channels. Man, there's a lot of these YouTube channels now. So for those of you, I really want to hear from those of you who have been there in person and you've seen it on a stream on your computer, your tablet, your phone, whatever. And I want to know what you have to say about the difference between the two, because people are going to say, well, Ron, you're just saying that because you're there and you think it's better to be there because you're there. So I want to hear from you guys. I know some of you guys must be in that situation. Marvin, the amount of times people say so-and-so looks shit, I say, how do you know? They reply, I watched it on my phone. Yeah, phone screen is, even if you got a really nice Android or iPhone, the newest version, the screen is still, like this big? It's not very big. Computer screen's bigger, obviously. And you can stream. When you stream, you can watch it on your television, all these smart TVs now. You can watch it on your 70-inch TV, 4K, all that good stuff. So that's probably the ideal way to watch it. If you're getting the pay-per-view, I would stream it to your television, not to your phone, if possible. The amount of times you do. Giovanni Zidou, that's a long name. Here on great coverage, thank you. Sadly, the stage lighting also factors in. IFBB shows are notorious for crappy, distracting backgrounds and horrible lighting. The worst thing that they've done for the physiques, for the way the physiques look on stage, is these huge LED screens. And don't get me wrong, it looks like you're at this major rock concert. I mean, I don't think I've ever been to a rock concert that had as many massive screens as like that last Olympia. That last Olympia had, 4 or 5 massive screens, like IMAX screens, all across the length of a football field. But when a bodybuilder's up against that, with that in the back of him, it's like backlighting him, because especially the cameras don't know what to focus on. They're focusing on things going on that screen, and it takes away from the focus of the physique that the camera's trying to get. I can tell you, it's just, I'm not a real photographer. I just take pictures with my freaking iPhone, but even I've had a lot of issues trying to get a good shot where, you'll see the bodybuilder looks almost like in silhouette because the background is so bright and the camera focuses on the brighter thing. Let's see, all around Curry's physique just flows better. Yeah, that's Mr. Entertainment 36. Bro, I want to see a judging spreadsheet with all the criteria so we get to know why someone won. We never understand why someone, they don't have anything like that. I mean, they have a score sheet, but that just shows the 3 rounds. Actually, it's 2 rounds now. That just shows the rounds. It's funny. I judged a little show 3-4 years ago. I wouldn't even call it a show. It was some guy put a bunch of bodybuilders together that he coached or something. Anyway, his score sheets had all that. They had like categories: size, shape, structure, condition, presentation. He made this up on his own. I've never seen that on an actual score sheet in bodybuilding, but it was a cool idea. I think there was like 10 people competing. I got to put that in quotation marks. But yeah, that one guy did it. Local guy in Massachusetts. It's like he's a posing coach or something. I think it was just all his clients. He brought them together at like a little I don't know, it was a school. It was like a rec center or something. It was really, really small. Mohammed, this version of Bonac. We're talking about Bonac now. Let's see. They should go into detail and judge people by criteria, not just give out a score. So yeah, the only thing with that is I could see it would be very time consuming. It's hard to get through these shows in a reasonable amount of time as it is. The Arnold was an exception because they had a lot fewer competitors. They cap it off. But there's some shows I've been to, like Tim Gardner in Florida at the Tampa Pro. One year it was over 300 competitors. It's always like 250 plus. It's a lot of people to get through. Then they have like masters, and the same people all do. You got to judge them all over again that you just saw in the open. A lot of them are over 40, whatever, and it's a process. Let's see. I want to see a judging spreadsheet. Blah blah blah. Bruh says black background is the best and lights from above. Check out the 92 Olympia, the 99 British Grand Prix. Incredible shows. We need to present the athletes in their best light. Actually, Google. You do Google Images if you want, but YouTube. You're on YouTube anyway. Do Pro Ironman or Ironman Invitational any year. If there's any footage from that show, check out how amazing the lighting was. It was always a black background, and they would have very, very sculpted lighting because it was lit by Mike Neveu, who was co-owner and chief photographer for Ironman magazine for 25 years plus. And he lit that show so well. A lot of bodybuilders would do that show just for the lighting because it was so spectacular. I mean, I remember I was there at the 93 Ironman Pro. That was the pro debut, very first pro show for Flex Wheeler and for Paul Dillette. Lee Labrada was in that show too. It was a great lineup. But man, everybody looks so good with that lighting. So yeah, check out that lighting. That was done right. But there were no sponsor banners. There was nothing. It was just a plain black background. Sometimes they'd have some color splashes here and there, but it wasn't like an LED. So that's the ideal way to do it. But Brett isn't going to Boston. I was hoping he was going to because I wanted to see him get another show under his belt. He's still, that was only, the Arnold was only Brett's second open show. I was hoping he'd come to Boston, but from the tone of his IG posts, it's, stuff like back to the drawing board, improvements to be made, which, yeah, he does have improvements to be made, but why not just do another show? It's only a week later. It's, I know he lives in Denver. It's just one more domestic flight to Boston. Fly into Logan International Airport, and there you are. Boom. Let's see. Yeah. Would Hadi won if he competed at the Arnold? The Hadi that was at the last Olympia, yeah, Hadi would have won. Yeah, I'd say so. Then the next question, I'm surprised hasn't come up yet. Would Nick Walker have won? He might have. The Nick Walker that won the last Arnold? Yeah, he might have. I mean, the kid's massive, shredded. He's a freak. He presented trophies a couple times, and good Lord, is he huge right now, Nick Walker. Huge. Well, you guys, all you Nick Walker fans know what he looks like these days. Evan Lohr says, I know the folks who promote the shows hear the comments for everyone to change the background all black. Why do you think they refuse to listen? I think a lot of it comes down to the sponsors are really the ones that pay for these shows. Yeah, the ticket prices, the tickets help a lot, of course, but they're getting a big chunk of money from, if you see, High Tech or Redcon or whatever, if you see a big sponsor on an LED screen behind them, they paid a lot of money for that. And that's the more high-tech, modern way of showcasing your sponsors versus the old days. You just hang up a vinyl banner, and they still do that at the regional shows and so forth. But at a lot of the pro shows, it's all digital. It's all this giant LED screen behind the stage, and someone's back there with a laptop just keeping it going with different backgrounds and everything. Mohammed, bad lighting and background in the Olympia. It should be black background. Yeah, Michael Hatch says, I think a part of the problem is angle. Yeah, like I said, when the judges are judging the show based on a straight on angle, right? They're sitting here in front of the stage looking up at a slight angle up at the stage at the competitors. Whereas a lot of this footage that you're seeing and a lot of pictures, they're off center. In the webcast, to make it interesting, they show things from a lot of different angles. They've got guys with handheld cameras walking around, giving you cool different angles. You're seeing guys from the side, from the back as they pose. But realistically, the show is only judged looking straight on at the stage. They're not seeing these guys from the side and from the back. I mean, if you're a competitor, you're posing to the judges right in front of you, right here. You're not posing to this camera, that camera that's behind you, looking down your, breathing down your neck. So, yeah. Part of the problem is, bruh. What bra say? Oh, wow, there's a lot of comments, guys. I'll try to keep up. They should change and give scores for symmetry, size, detail, and center for the poses. Exactly, that's how it should be done. If they did that, you'd really have to have a much lower number of competitors, because to do it that way would be time consuming, because you got to sit there and give every guy a score for each of those categories. It's a lot. It's a lot to process. Igor Linares says, must be from Brazil, because he says, Ron, tell us your impressions of Ramon and what do you expect from him for the next Mr. Olympia, taking into account that he weighed 215 on Arnold and can still add more mass. Ramon is a very, very potential, possible future Olympia Classic Physique champion. I say that because you never know. I mean, what if Bumstead just keeps winning this thing for like 4 or 5 more years? I think Ruffin has a great chance of winning. I think Ramon, Urs in another year with a little bit more mass on the upper body, a little more arms, a little more back, he'll be right there. Ramon has a beautiful physique, size, shape, thin skin, great condition. I think he needs to improve his mandatory poses a little more, open up more on the double bicep, fix his side chest a little, just little tweaks. But Ramon is amazing for sure. Let's see. Our Stav, I was at the last 2 Olympias and watched the Arnold fan meal live stream. Hard to make a good call this year. Did you see any gyno on Bonac? I didn't notice it. Some people are saying, yeah, he's got a little bit of gyno. He would have to have surgery, obviously, and then he'd miss a couple months of training for sure. So I don't know. Maybe he'll get it fixed after this. I don't know. That's up to him. I don't think he lost the show, because you could only see it I think you could only see it when he had his arm up in that side shot that he does during the abdominal and thigh sometimes. Let's see. Marvin, over here, I said the federation should give feedback next to result, e.g. needs to be fuller, etc. I was asked, would I pay for that? I don't think every judge should have to write a personal critique of each person. That would be so, again, we're talking things that are going to take a long time. They're time consuming, and you have a lot of competitors, and now you have a lot of divisions to get through. If this was the old days and it was just men's and women's bodybuilding, it might make more sense, because there was a lot fewer competitors in these shows. There was, a lot of shows back in the old days were just one men's open bodybuilding. We didn't even have to say men's open. It was a bodybuilding show. You'd see a women's bodybuilding show somewhere. You'd go see a men's bodybuilding show somewhere. Some of the lineups were pretty deep, of course, but you only had one division. That was it. Good old days. Sorry you guys missed out on that if you're younger. Here's the favorite. Bruh says, oh yeah, I forgot about the Ironman. I remember Flex winning many of these. I think he won 5. Yeah. He looked fantastic. The lighting, a lot of times what would happen is people would do, because the Ironman was always first. It was always a week or 2. It was the season opener. And then a week or 2 later would be the Arnold. And a lot of times people, at least a few times I remember people would say, oh, he looked so much better last week at the Ironman or 2 weeks ago at the Ironman. And if I was in person at both shows, as a few times I could see, no, they didn't really look that different. It's just the lighting was it was very dramatic lighting at the Ironman, very dramatic. It looked like a magazine cover. It was so well lit. Because Mike Neville was amazing at lighting. That was his trade, still is his trademark. He's still working, still doing photography. Giovannizzadu. There's no way to pronounce that. No reason spectacular lighting design shouldn't be standard at shows. Marvin says, your MD reports weekend were fantastic. Thank you so much. Bruh, said Nick, for sure. Alon Powers, he retracted his message. Oh, let's see. I think it's back. How do you think Urs will do at the Boston Pro, says Jarl Björnmeland. I looked at the lineup, and nobody else from the top 6 in the Arnold Classic Physique is doing this. So Urs, on paper right now, Urs is my winner for sure. I mean, unless Ruffin just decides, I think I'll do it, or Ramon says, I think I'll go to Boston. But as it stands now, Urs Kalaczynski from Munich, Germany, there's your winner for sure. OMG, ditto that comment on your Arnold content. You guys are crushing it. Thank you. Great interviews and access. Thank you. Alon Powers, Bonax Redemption will be with a Boston win. He's on the list. I'm not 100% sure he's coming. I messaged him a couple hours ago because I really want him. Obviously, I want him there. I want to see him get a win because he was so close last one. I'd love to see him pick up a win. But, he had to go back to Netherlands. Then he's got to come back. So I think he told me, I talked to him for about a minute or two at he was leaving breakfast and I was still eating. And I asked him, and I think he was going to make up his mind by tomorrow, which would be Wednesday, which is kind of late in the game. The show's Saturday, but I hope he makes it. Charisma University. Hey, Ron, I'm going through a rough time mentally. Wish me some luck. Okay, good luck. Sorry to hear that. I hope you find some positivity, some good things to focus on. The live stream's helping so much. Listening to bodybuilding is the only relief. Yeah, it gets better. Things do get better. I mean, this too shall pass is that old biblical quote that you can always use in tough times, because we all go through crap in life, and it's never forever. I mean, you look back at all of you. Think back to some things you thought it was never going to get any better. It's always going to be like this. Some people it doesn't get any better because they just keep falling into they feel sorry for themselves, and they don't ever pull themselves out of it. But for most of us, we can think back to a lot of times when like, wow, I really was so depressed. I thought nothing was going to get better, but it did. It did, obviously. Marvin, Phil Clayhar is coming up bad out of hell for Boston. Yeah, we're doing a Boston Pro preview tomorrow. Jose, myself, and Giles Thomas. Phil Clayhar, definitely one of my favorites for this show. Bonak's the only one I think would be, he'd have a really tough time beating William Bonak. But everyone else up there, I think he could potentially beat Kuklo, Sampson, Justin Rodriguez, Regan, Max Charles. I mean, the last time he was on stage was the Texas Pro last year. He had done Tampa Pro the week before and took a very close second to Ian Valliere. And then at the Texas Pro a week later, the top three were Ian Valliere, Steve Kuklo, and Phil Clayhar. They were all super, super close. I honestly think it could have gone any way at that Texas Pro. Phil was great at that show. And I did an interview with him last night. I think we're going to put it up Thursday. And he is fired up, man. He is like really hungry for some redemption. He wants this win because he had applied to the Arnold and they didn't accept his invitation. And then he sees all these people drop out, and he was ready to do it, and they didn't let him compete, obviously. So he wants to stand up there with as many of these guys that were in the Arnold and beat them to show I did belong on that Arnold Classic stage. And this is how I prove it, by beating the guys that you did accept their invitations. Let's see. Mr. Entertainment, you're right, Ron. The best lighting was always the Ironman Pro. Yeah. I remember when Gustavo Badell won the 2005 Ironman. He and the other competitors looked amazing. 2005 was a great year for Gustavo. I think that's the year he took third. Did he take third at the Olympia twice? I think he did. Gustavo was on fire there he had a good run there for a minute. Greg Ulisse, pro from Canada, the Great White North, says, "What's up? Your prayers have been answered. The Boston Pro is going to be bonkers." Yeah, I mean, I really hope Bonak's in it. I really hope that. Saleh El Haddadi, what do you think about new champ for Arnold Classic Amateur Andrew? He's got some work to do, but yeah, he's got great potential. He's a tall guy, a lot of muscle, crazy arms, crazy delts, small waist, needs a little bit more legs. I know calves don't really matter, but I'd like to see this guy put some calf size on. They're pretty weak right now. A little more back thickness and detail. Condition, he was, we did an interview, it's on this channel, if you go back a few videos. He got sick, so he didn't pull out of the show, but he kept going, but he lost a lot of prep time. He could have been a lot leaner. He was still lean enough to win. He blew the show away. Let's see. Alon Powers. Peter Molnar was overlooked big time. I don't think we can use the word overlooked when we're discussing this past weekend's Arnold Classic. And I say that because there were no more than 10 people in any division, 9 or 10 people in every division. So the judges had time to give everybody a good look. Everybody got a call out and a comparison. Everybody got, I thought, a fair shake. Not to say that you have to agree with every decision that was made, but it's not like somebody was never called out. Peter got a good look. I could have had him a couple spots higher for sure. But yeah. Bruh says, I know Peter should have beaten Michael Aboud. Well, Peter is his classic gets, yeah. Michael doesn't have the best. Michael Aboud from UK, originally from Syria, doesn't have the greatest structure. Maybe his shape isn't as pretty as Peter's, but man, was he shredded out of his skull. It was some of the best condition of the entire weekend, that Michael Abul, sorry, not Abdul. Paul Abdul. Charisma University again. Peter Molnar is like Brett, only the same thing every time. He never plays well the way you imagine. Well, I mean, he won. He's won some pro shows, and he was in another federation for many years. I guess I'm hearing. I heard this. I didn't even really know the whole story. He used to be an open bodybuilder. He'd been competing over in Europe and other federations for years, doing very, very well. More recently, he switched to the IFBB Pro League and into the Classic division. He dropped a little weight, a little size. Yeah, he looked fantastic. I was very impressed with Peter Molnar. Great coverage. Thanks, Ron. Arturo Avalos. You're welcome. Bruh, Brett doesn't have the genetics. He looks okay by himself, but he got destroyed in the lineup. He is very narrow and he isn't third. He has no sweep. Oh, 3D. He has no sweep and his back is fairly weak. His midsection is also worse. Yeah, Brett's got work to do. He's a work in progress. It's all very new muscle. I mean, this is a guy that turned pro in 2018 in Classic Physique, never competed in Classic. Came back in 2019 and did 2 shows as a 212. Then he comes back in 2021 at 244, 5 pounds, shredded, and takes second to Hunter Labrada. So he's got work to do, but he's got a great work ethic. He's got a great attitude. I feel bad in a way because people are saying he was all hype. Yeah, we had a lot of expectations for him because he looks by himself. He looked fantastic. But a lot of times I say this, when you stand next to other people in a lineup, it exposes any flaws or any weaknesses that you may have that maybe if you're looking at someone by themselves may not be as apparent. But say somebody's doesn't have the widest shoulders, and you don't really notice it in the comparison shots. But then when you see them on stage next to people who do have like wider clavicles, you're like, oh yeah, he's kind of narrow. So yeah, he's on his way. Don't worry. I wouldn't worry. When's the next live gear Q&A? I don't know. Those are stuff. I mean, this like right now, everything was about the Arnold. Now everything's about the Boston Pro. Next week we'll get back into quote unquote normal coverage content where everything won't be somehow related to the shows. We do have a little break before it all kicks off. Like then it goes Indy Pro, New York Pro, and it's like show after show after show after that. Marvin, in your opinion, but I'm sorry, if you do have Q&As for gear related stuff, you can leave it on the Ask Dr. Testosterone video in the comments and we get to those. Although I think we're doing an interview with a gentleman who runs a big TRT business next week rather than answer questions. Marvin, in your opinion, do you prefer today's bodybuilding to the 90s, 2000s? Well, I'm 52 years old, and that was the era where I really I started working in the industry in 91 all the way till today. But I mean, yeah, the 90s and 2000s were great. It's a nostalgia thing. I think everybody, whatever era you came up in, to you, that's always going to be the best era. Like, ask anybody, when was the best era for music? And if you ask people of an older generation, they're going to say it was a long time ago, like when they were in their teens or something. You know, everyone's biased that way. Harmony, very cool. Marvin, I can relate to that guy. Already mental issues. If I didn't have bodybuilding, I wouldn't be here. You're showing Giles helps. Fantastic information. You know, thank you. Yeah. You rarely see older guys looking that good. Hopefully Phil nails this. Oh, Phil Clayhart will be in shape. That's one thing I don't worry about with him. I know he's going to be in shape. He works very hard. He's working with George Farah now. He doesn't post progress pics. He's old school. He just likes to show up. And now you can see how good I look because so many times people post these pics and you're underwhelmed when you see them. Like, man, he looked a lot better on Instagram in his bathroom at, 4 p.m. when the sun was coming in through that window over there and through that tree in his backyard. Yeah. Raymond says, should Regan have beat Brett? Brett was in much better condition. So I don't know. I mean, you could have argued it. They weren't that far apart. I don't think too many people would have argued. They're both good. Renaud. What can Samson do to his package to win the Olympia? More back development, a little more hamstring development, better condition. He's not going to win the Olympia this year, but in the future, it's definitely a possibility. These things take time. When they say this guy's got to bring his back up, you don't bring your back up in like 3 months or even 6 months. It takes a while. Bruh says, oh yeah, Regan should have beaten Brett, no doubt. I don't know what they saw in him on Saturday. He was spilled and had no cuts in his legs. Yeah, I guess he tried to fill up a little bit too much. Regan has prettier shape. Regan still needs a little bit more arm size, a little bit more chest. They've come up a lot But you know, he's a work in progress too. He's getting better and better. This is the first time I'd seen the new and improved version of Regan. The last time I'd seen Regan was at the 2021 Olympia, where I was not impressed. He took second to last place, and rightfully so. But this Regan would do better as well if he had been able to dial his condition in. He was sick. He was very sick throughout a lot of his prep, as you probably saw in our video. Samson should have been third. Yeah. Right now, if Urs shows up at the Olympia with that Phil Heath cloud look, will he win Classic? Urs needs, like I said, Urs just needs a little bit more upper body, particularly the back and the arms. His arms are kind of a weak point in certain shots. His legs are phenomenal. Shoulders are phenomenal. His shape, his condition is unreal. I love that kid. I love his attitude, his presentation. He has so much fun up there. He makes you feel happy just watching him. You're like, wow, this, because he loves, you can see the passion, his love for it. He's having such a good time up there. So yeah, future Olympia, but not, it's not gonna, I don't think it's gonna be this year. Bruh, Samson should have been second in my opinion. Wow. In my opinion, I just saw a comparison between Samson and Brandon, and Samson looked phenomenal. I want to see him compared to the top two. I don't think he should have been second. No, if I did, I'd say it if I thought he should have, but he's still got some work to do. He needs to fill out. He needs more back, and his condition was not 100% where I would have liked to see it. So he would not. Second place was not. No, he didn't deserve that. Sorry. Davila Wassermeister. Ron, do you think narcissism in bodybuilding is more common than other sports? I think many athletes with self-worth problems try to compensate with a big physique. Oh, 100%. Come on. Yeah, I mean, it's a very vain sport, but most of these guys who got into it they don't come from that place of vanity. But I think a lot of us, the rest of our schmucks, the other 99% of bodybuilders, you know, we got into it out of insecurity, looking for attention, validation, respect, any number of things. So yeah, I mean, of course, this is a sport where it's almost it's a beauty pageant with muscles. So you could definitely say narcissism plays a massive part because, you know, especially now with Instagram, a lot of us, I'm putting up my hand, a lot of us will post all these pictures, and yeah, we like to get the likes, the followers, the nice comments. Of course, it feels good. It's a little dopamine rush, a little ping of dopamine every time someone says, bro, you look awesome. I don't know if a hot girl says it, oh boy, even better, right? Renault, what does Bonac and Curry weigh on stage? Under 240? I think Bonac's under 240 because he's shorter. I think I asked him in the interview, and I think he said he was right around 230, something like that. He's about 5'5". Brandon is 5'8", and I think he was about 240. Yeah, 240. I asked him in the interview, in the post-show interview that's on this channel. I can't remember what he said, but it was the low 240s, I want to say. Ron, you were the best, says Loho. Right? I know, thank you. No, thank you so much. That was very nice of you to say. DJ Leader. Hey, Ron, thanks for all the great work. Honest content. Samson, Douda is coming. Samson's getting better and better. I'm very impressed with Samson. Very impressed. Ron, could Chris Cormier have been even better than he was? Who knows? Who knows? Like, if he didn't party at all, if Chris Cormier had been like Dorian, I know, like, Dorian's a good friend of Chris. And Dorian has said many times that if Chris had had his mindset, his focus, his discipline, where he was like 100% tunnel vision, full-time bodybuilder all those years, he believes he would have been an Olympia champ. Chris Cormier this is a dubious record. It's a record you wouldn't want. He got second place at the Arnold 6 years in a row. Imagine that. Oh, it sucked. It was to Jay Cutler, to Ronnie, the year Ronnie did it, I think, to Dexter, to Flex. So he got second place 6 years in a row. That's got to sting. Raymond, given Nick Walker's already peaked his conditioning, how can he improve his package? Oh, he's still got areas of his physique, his chest, his back. He's got areas he can improve on. His legs, he needs more leg sweep, more size in general to match that upper body. His legs are big, don't get me wrong, but to really match and have that perfect balance between upper and lower, he needs more legs, just a little bit more. Renault, do you think Urs will eventually move up to the Open? No, he's one guy I don't think will go Open. He loves Classic. He loves the presentation of it, the aesthetics, the beauty, and he's a hard gainer. I know he's only 23, but he still has, I shouldn't say he's a hard gainer because he did put on a few pounds since the Olympia, but I think he's someone like Bumstead who just loves the aesthetics and the beauty of Classic, and there's no desire on his part to put on, you know how much muscle, you know how much bigger he would need to be a good open bodybuilder? He would need to put on like another 40 pounds of muscle. That's a lot of muscle, and it's not healthy, and he knows that. I really like these live shows. Thank you, Alan Espejo. Espejo is Spanish for back, correct? Yes. Loho, Ron. Now that the Masters Olympia will be back, would you go for your pro card? Nope. 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 No, I'm done. I'm so done because I've seen a lot of Masters, men and women, who got their pro card by beating like one person or at 3 people, 1 to 3 people, which is crazy. And I always went up and I was in my Masters pro qualifying events. I was always up against 20, 30 plus guys just in my class. And if I competed again, I would not be up against 2 or 3 guys. I know this. I've been very, very lucky in life in many, many ways. Very blessed with my health, with my children, with my wife. So the one thing I've been unlucky. I've always gone up against very, very tough competition when I went for my pro card. But you know what? That's okay. That's okay. I'm so grateful for everything else. If I turned pro, I'd be a horrible pro. I'd be horrible. My physique's not that great. I just get butthurt because I know people with lesser physiques, people who are worse than me, who are pros. But you know what? Who cares? Who cares? I shouldn't. I try not to care. We get attention all right from men. LOL. Yeah, J-Dog's got a point there. A lot of us got into bodybuilding thinking women were going to be all over us once you got big and jacked. No. You know how many DMs I get? You know how many messages on Facebook? And oh my God, gay men are much, much more appreciative or fans of muscular men than women. Women just like tall, skinny, or athletic guys. They don't care. They don't like big freaks. But, gay men, they love big, bulky, muscular dudes. They love us with a passion. So, yeah. Raymond, I would have given Urs to win classics. Muscle quality is best now. Yeah, but Ruffin was better. Ramon was a little bit better, a little bit. Ruffin was the clear winner. I mean, I love Urs, I love his physique. Third was the right call. I don't have a problem with him getting third. I think he's going to pick up this win in Boston unless Ramon comes back or something. I think he's got a win coming in a couple days here in Boston. That's just self review. We got any more? Is Nick Walker living in the Dorian mindset now? He seems very focused to me. How will Justin Shearer overcome his high lat insertions? Well, you can't. But there have been people with quote-unquote high lat insertions who've done very well. Dennis Wolf comes to mind. They always criticized his high lats, but you know what? Dennis Wolf won an Arnold Classic. He was third at the Olympia, so it didn't hold him back that much. I actually think high lat insertions, in some ways, it gives you a better V-taper because there's more dramatic. There's like nothing here, and then it swoops out. Ron, do you think Dorian would 21 Olympia? What? Dorian would win the 2021 Olympia? Dorian at his best, how would he do against Rami? At his best, I'm saying, before he got the torn bicep and all that. Yeah, Dorian would have blew that away. Are you kidding me? Ronnie would have blew that away. What to say? Urs would have to do like Brett did. Espejo is Spanish for mirror. Yeah, you're right. Espalda is back. Espejo is mirror. You're right. I get confused with my crappy Spanish. Bo True, Jesus blessed you, Ron. Exactly. So, I got to be greedy and I got to ask for a pro card too from God. No, I'm good, man. Thank you, God. I'm all set. Bruh, all the top 90s guys would have won the Olympus. Since Phil left, the quality of champions isn't up there. Phil and Kai were great. We don't have anything like that. Yeah, that was the last big rivalry. The Phil and Kai Olympias, those 3 years in a row where they battled it out and Kai was second 3 years in a row. Those are epic Olympias. Those are great. Yeah, we don't have that kind of excitement now. Maybe we will. Bo True, women love me. I'm the bulk master at 290, baby. Michelin Man time. Well, Bo, I think you said you were like 6'2" as well, right? If you were 5'6", I don't think they'd love you. 5'6" and 290. I don't think you'd be that popular with the ladies. But I think you said you're over 6 foot. Women like tall guys. It's funny how they say a lot of women won't date under 6'2", right? You know what percentage of American men are 6'2" or above? It's like 1%. So that 1%, they're getting a lot of, can I say it? They're getting a lot of ass. And they're not committing to anybody because they don't need to. Thank God I got the Cuban Missile back in the day before this height became a big requirement. Good old days. Lucian, pics can only show you so much. Some guys just don't look good in pics or videos. Case in point, pics Ronnie is the GOAT. In real life, Dorian's condition would expose Ronnie badly. You know, Dorian always looked way better to me, and a lot of people commented on this back in the day. He always looked way better in person if you saw him on stage than he did in the pictures. Can't really explain why, but everybody used to say that, and I felt the same way. Absolutely. Bruno. Do you think Sebum is still far away from the others for next Mr. Olympia, or something changed after the Arnold Classic? He's still the gold standard. We'll see. I mean, Ramon with improvements, Ursh with improvements, Ruffin's still pushing him. It's going to be a very, very interesting class physique Olympia this year, I'll tell you that. Loho, I don't know, but if Ursh would go open, I think he would be Dennis Wolf-like. He'd be great, but I mean, that's, like I said, he'd need like 40, 50 pounds of muscle. And what does it take to put on 40, 50 pounds of muscle? It takes a lot of food, a lot of training, and a lot of drugs. And I don't think Urs wants to risk his future health and longevity. I don't think. He's a very smart kid. Very smart kid. Okay, now you got the pronunciation from, it's pronounced Juvenutsedu. Juvenutsedu. It's Sicilian. Now you can do accents, yeah. So, yes, Spanish and Italian pronunciation are very, very similar. I tried it. Portuguese is kind of close, but they have some vowels, some consonants that are a little bit different that we don't have in Spanish. But yeah, Juvenutsedu. Yeah, I try to pronounce names correctly. I don't like to murder people's names. J-Dog, I like big freaks. That's why I watch your shows. Agree about your point on V-Taper. Loho, Ronald, interview with you, Giles, or Tiger, Steve Blackman. That'd be great. I mean, we do me and Giles, we do the interviews. We're not the interview subjects. I have done some. I've done some podcasts and stuff. If you look up Ron Harris interview, I'm sure something will come up. Renaud, I think Sebum is overrated and Urs is right there already. Urs is not very far. I'll tell you this. Urs is not far off at all from Chris Bumstead, the way he looked when he won his first Olympia in 2019, because he still needed a lot of back and biceps at that point. That's when everyone was saying, well, how did he beat Breon? Because Breon's got biceps. Breon's biceps are way better, and his back is way better. So if Urs, he will, man. I shouldn't say if. When Urs makes those improvements, he's going to be pushing really hard for that title. Bo Truex, 6'1". There you go. But the girls who are, you have to be 6'2", they wouldn't date you. You're too short. You're a midget. They'll call you a manlet because you're only 6'1". Isn't that crazy how that is now? It's American women. American women have lost their damn minds. This younger generation. Don't get me started. Oh man, Alberto Montejo. People sleeping on Phil Clayhar. He is not 6'4". I just interviewed him last night and asked. He's exactly 6 foot because I asked. I was surprised because he wasn't as heavy as I thought. I thought he was like 270 or 280. He's 250 on stage. I thought he looks much heavier. It just goes to show you the weight doesn't really matter. It's all the appearance. It's what you look like. J-Dog, I still say if Kai would have cut his hair, he would have beat Phil. Maybe. I mean, that hair was distracting. Not me, Alberto. Do you think Justin Rodriguez's shoulders looking cartoonish hurt his placing? Maybe. They don't look right. They don't. The shape is. I'm not going to accuse him of anything. Other people have done that. I mean, I don't know if he has anything in there or not, but they're very, very. They're like 2 round. They're 2 round in full. Maybe he got these spectacular genetics for shoulder cap shape. I don't know, but I do think that might have been what knocked him down to 5th place, right? It's 5th. Yeah, even Samson beat him. Because I thought he was going to be 3rd place. We all did after Friday night. Then he ended up in 5th. On who's a pro with the greatest personality? Jose Raymond. There you go. There's your winner. I love Jose. He's my boy. Yeah. I mean, I know I spend more time with Jose and talk to him more than a lot of my actual brothers. I have 4 brothers, by the way. Raphael Hawkins, comment right now. 6'1" and 6'2" in shoes, yeah. Well, if you got those lifts, those things you can put in the shoes, I'm 5'7.5" now. I've shrunk like an inch since I was in my 20s and 30s. Maybe that could get me up to 6'1", or I could stand on a box or something, yeah. Would you place Sean Clarita ahead of Nick Walker in the open class? No. I wouldn't have Sean Clarita beating Nick Walker. He's just so massive, so overpowering. Yeah. Bo True. American. It's held for review, so maybe I shouldn't read it, but we're just ragging on American women. I mean, that's why you got to go to the Philippines for romance. I see these videos come up as like commercials before a lot of the YouTube videos. Philippines, or they say Latin women. Why should you date a young Latin woman? Philippines is another one, though. Terrible video quality. What? Are you talking about my thing? Oh, wait. There's more to that. I didn't even read the first part. The unnamed show is probably one of the Europe shows Nathan Dasher won last year. No, it was a US show. Don't worry, beat Rolly. But I think that one, the quality wasn't that great either, the one you're talking about. Raymond says, I thought Kukla placed a bit too well and Reagan looked comparable. No, there's no way Reagan was beating Kukla with that show this past weekend. No way. You had to be there. I was there, remember? Jose is awesome, yeah. Matt Addison, Justin's shoulders get too peaky. The other bodybuilder, great personality, is Evan Centopani. I love Evan. Evan's cool as F. He is a great guy. I love Evan. Matt Addison, Justin's shoulders get too peaky in the front lat spread. Yeah. Every other poses are passively real looking. Yeah, that's what I mean. It's just, he does that and they're like, boop. They have like peaks. It's odd. Ron, Bob Paris or Barry DeMay? They were both good, but I'd go with Barry DeMay. Paris never got very lean. Bob Paris had beautiful shape, good size. He wasn't massive. He had beautiful shape and symmetry, but I never saw him like shredded, ever. Not even close. Barry I saw in great condition a few times. Actually, in person, I was lucky to see him compete. Nathan hasn't competed in a big show in years. I don't know what he's thinking. He better be at this Olympia, man. He's qualified already. He better. Bonet come up short. Funny how everyone has forgotten Lee Haney. No, I didn't forget about him. Maybe it's just the old guys. He was unbeatable at that time. Yeah, he was dominant. He was dominant in that era. Labrada pushed him very hard. Gaspari pushed him very hard. And there were a couple questionable years where you could have argued, especially that year, the Olympia was drug tested, was 1990 in Chicago. And Labrada was beating him after the judging. And then, this is the crazy part, the posing round was the last round to be judged. And Haney beat him in that round when Labrada was like one of the greatest posers of all time. So I'll tell you, the judging now is 100% better than it was back then. There was so much, can I say effery? Effery. There was so much bullshit back there with the judging at times. So many decisions that were just very, very, very shady, very sketchy decisions back in the day. Am I coming to the UK, Arnold, Ron? I'd love to, but because we have Giles in the UK already, and we haven't been able to budget, it's very expensive to bring people over and the flights and everything, so it wouldn't make any sense for me to go over there when we have Giles there. So he'll cover it and he'll do an amazing job. He's a king of coverage. Yeah. If there's anyone I could say that does it better than me, it's probably Giles. Yeah. He's anti-vax. Boris Borski. Did Breon deserve third over Urs? I don't think so. No. I've seen Breon much better. When he's fuller, he looks a lot better. But no, I didn't have any problem with that placing. Our stuff. Justin's front lat spread. Can you do better? Hide those shoulders? How are you going to hide it? Ron, the greatest voice in bodybuilding. Chickarillo, Haney, or Sampson, Barry White, Dowda. Chickarillo. It's funny because I'll be at, a lot of times we're in the same area, general areas, like the Hilton restaurant. Bob can be all the way at the other end of the restaurant, and I'll hear his voice, and it's a very unique, booming voice. I'll go, oh, there's Bob. And it's, he's like 50 feet away, but I can hear him just talking to somebody. He's got a very timbery voice. Timbery? It's not even a word. Johnny, can't wait to finally meet you at the Olympia. I'll be there, and I can show what arms look like. You can show me what arms look like? Everyone's got better arms than me. There are people that don't even train that have better arms than me. So, yeah. Everyone's got great arms. That's a very common thing. A lot of people have decent genetics for arms. That's like the one thing I got screwed on. Triceps in particular. My biceps aren't bad. They're not. They're like average. I don't have awesome biceps, but they're okay. They're okay. It's my triceps that just suck ass. Like that. Anything else? I get going. Yeah, I'm going to wrap it up, guys. We've been rambling on. So I don't even, what were we talking about? Judging, you have to be there. So yeah, I mean, you have your choices of coverage. But I really hope you guys hang out this weekend, musculardevelopment.com, for the play-by-play. I take these pictures on my awesome new iPhone 13 Pro. We post those immediately. Then we have really great pictures from Hector with his, $5,000 camera. A couple hours later up on the website in the contest gallery. We put tons of videos up on the YouTube channel during the weekend. It's going to be a really good show, and we want to really knock the coverage out of the park. All right, guys, I'm going to let you go. I got to go walk Branch, the pit bull mix, my little boy. dog. Love him dearly. Appreciate you guys watching so much. Please subscribe to the channel. Like the video. Leave some comments. Apparently comments are more important for something called an algorithm. I still have no idea what an algorithm is, but if you leave some comments, I guess it would help the algorithm. And hit that little bell. Where's the bell thing? Hit that little bell icon up there in the right-hand corner of your screen. That lets you turn on your notifications so you know when we have new videos coming out. So, well, I guess you guys got them because you're watching this. You saw that we were going live. So again, guys, thank you so much. Appreciate your viewership. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.